Kyle Rudolph. We got NFL action tonight.
Yes, we do, Kay. How are you?
I'm
Always good to be on.
I'm so good. I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad that week 2 is here. It's been a very fast week. I feel like we have, now my life is structured around sitting down on my couch and watching these games. And let's really quick, before we get into week 2, last weekend, you returned to Minnesota. And let's get into this. You got to call the Gophers blowout win over Rhode Island on Peacock. Blowouts, to me, like that's some of the hardest work as a broadcaster, right? Like, what did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about Brendan Burke as you guys had to deal with a 48-0 situation on air?
Yeah, it's interesting because, I think I had 5 games last year. I actually called Rutgers at Wisconsin with Brendan Burke. So I'd worked with Brendan in the past. He's phenomenal. He's awesome to work with, an incredible play-by-play announcer. And ultimately, to me, and like I told people, this calling a game in which the Big Ten team blows out the FCS team and they do what they're supposed to do and they execute on offense and they turn the football over on defense and pitch the shutout, as the football analyst who's in the booth, that's very easy to talk about. You look at the first quarter of that game, we had 50 yards of offense from both teams, sloppy play, slow start. That's very difficult to analyze as the analyst in the booth. So, for me, the familiarity that I have with the state of Minnesota, it's Huntington Bank Stadium. It was TCF Bank Stadium when I played in it for 2 years. So a familiar environment, a familiar program with a head coach that I know well in PJ Fleck. So yes, a close game that comes down to it in the fourth quarter is always exciting.
Yeah.
But if we were going to get a blowout, at least it was the team that was supposed to be the one blowing the other one out. And everything that they told us they had to do in production meetings on Friday, they went out and executed and did. So as the analyst that's sitting up there talking about football, it made my life a lot easier to talk about good play from them. Yes, we didn't have a lot of good things to say about Rhode Island's play, but ultimately a super talented FCS team who I think will do well, ultimately get back to the playoff there that they haven't been in a long time. They just did what you can't do when you're an FCS opponent going on the road in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
You can't turn the ball over. You can't have penalties. So it was fun to be back in the booth. Not sure when I'm back in again, but whenever NBC needs me and they call me when they have 7 broadcasts over the course of a weekend, they got to throw me in somewhere.
I love that.
So
I can't believe
ready.
you don't know yet. So you're just going to get, how long will you have to prepare? A week?
I mean, that's how long you have to prepare when you play games. It kind of goes week by week. So, ultimately that's kind of where we stand with it. I don't have a full slate of games. For me personally, just not ready to jump into a full season of broadcasting. I love the ability to stay around the game, but I also love dropping my 4 kids off at school every day and going to Henry's hockey and baseball practice and the girls' gymnastics. So I haven't decided if this is something that we're going to go into full time yet or not, but I love the opportunities I get when I get them.
I mean, maybe if you got a closer game and you'd be a little more revved up in the fourth quarter, you'd want to do it a little more. But I mean, I love that you're having the best of both worlds, a little balanced. Another game that was lopsided and not balanced on the NFL side was the Kyle Rudolph Bowl between the Vikings and the Giants. 28-6, I believe, was the score. I had Jermaine Illuminor, fell in love with him on the show, talking about how personally he takes protecting his quarterback, and then it's not on him, but 5 sacks in this game. Who's to blame for what's going on with your former squad, the Giants?
It honestly, for me, someone that watched that game closely, having rooting interests on both sides. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm a Viking. I will forever be a Viking. I had a cup of coffee in New York and an even smaller cup of coffee in Tampa. But in both of those places, specifically New York, I met a lot of great people. I met a lot of teammates that I'm very close with, one of which a guest of the show a lot, and Daniel Jones, and someone that I've spoken very highly of. His ability, his talent. The Daniel Jones that I saw on Sunday in that game is not the Daniel Jones that I watched take them to the divisional round of the playoffs. It's not the guy that I played with when I was there for a year. Just his confidence looks completely destroyed. And how can you blame him? every time he goes out there, he's fighting for his life. And I've said this multiple times when I talk about DJ, can we possibly protect him? They did the other part. They got him the playmaker. They went out and got Malik Nabers in the draft this year. But you let Saquon Barkley go. We saw what Saquon did on Friday night in Brazil. It's an explosive, dynamic playmaker that I'm sure DJ would have loved to have next to him. But it's just, he's got to get his confidence back. I don't know how they get it back. But like I said, that guy that I watched on Sunday playing against my other former team, we can talk about that quarterback play as well. That wasn't the guy that I know and that I know he has the ability to be. So, looking forward, hopefully, he can kind of find that magic, find that confidence that was the guy that I was around, the guy that I played with, because the ability's there. He's super talented, incredibly gifted.
Is it up to him? I'm trying to think. Like, I agree with what you're saying, but then I don't like hearing you say, it's scary to hear you say, I don't know how he gets it back or how they get it back. There has to be a way. What can they do? What can Dable do to sort of put them in position to get it back? What can you do for him from here?
I mean, from a play call standpoint, certainly calling plays. It's hard though, because when you get down, you have to drop back and throw the ball. It's worst case scenario for every offense, no matter who the quarterback is, no matter who the offensive line are. When you lose the balance of being able to run the ball, being able to throw the ball, you get down multiple scores in the course of a game. Everyone knows you're dropping back and you're throwing the football. Therefore, it becomes even more difficult to have success when you can't protect the quarterback. So, the way to get his confidence back is by running the football, getting the ball out of his hand, high percentage completion throws. Each and every throw that he makes, he will get more and more confident. You look at it, it's no secret. DJ's thrown more pick sixes than he has touchdown passes. It's been a problem. He's got to protect the football. But each and every time you get him, the ball out of his hand quickly, let's get the ball to that rookie I went to a Giants training camp practice. This kid is special. He is an elite playmaker in this league. Let's find creative ways to get him the football, in quick game, in screen game, maybe even hand it to him from time to time. If it was me personally, again, there's not enough ways for me to possibly get Malik Nabers the football. He's arguably one of the best players on your offense. And then again, each and every completion. How about a scoring drive? Like, let's get my man a scoring drive and a completion and a touchdown to find, because I can just only imagine the more things go wrong, the more you press, the more you worry, the more you think about stuff that you can't control. And ultimately, that's what I'd love to see from this Giants offense. And I do think if you're going to get his confidence back, that's how you have to do it.
Yeah, how much is it on? I mean, Kirk Cousins had his ups and downs, right? Case Keenum, I imagine, struggled with confidence and was able to find it for you as a teammate. How much of it is on the quarterback?
Quite honestly, I'd say it's on the rest of the other 10 guys on that field. For me personally, I was always one that, you could tell when your quarterback needs to be hit in the back of the head and like, come on, dude, like, let's go.
Wow.
We got you. Like, throw me the ball. I'm ready. And I think it's on those other guys. And, when you look at that offense with Saquon moving on to Philly, who's going to be that guy? I just said one of your best playmakers is your rookie wide receiver. He's just a rookie. Yes, Andrew Thomas is one of the best offensive linemen in football and a phenomenal left tackle, but that's not Andrew's personality. Like, Andrew's kind of a quiet guy. He goes about his business, works extremely hard, super talented. But who's going to be that guy on the offense where they really don't have leaders to hit DJ in the back of the head and be like, man, let's go. Like, you got this, just let it go. Forget about it. You have to have those guys on offense that can ultimately bring the best out of them. And it can't be Brian Dable. It can't be Joe Shane. It can't be somebody on that staff. It's got to be somebody in the locker room to be able to do that.
This is really strong analysis. Like, thank you for saying all of this, even just about confidence, about accountability, about all of it. And hopefully they can make it happen. I want the solution. I want them to be competitive. It wasn't like that in this game, and they got a huge one, as you can see, up against the Commanders here in a couple of days. So that's going to be rough. Other side of the matchup, what you're known for, where you're a legend with the Vikings. It's no joke. Kevin O'Connell offense is tough to pick up, high volume, all of that. You don't have a rookie receiver. You have the best receiver. You have Justin Jefferson there. Sam Darnold, great. What did you make of him? Did something impress you? And do you think it can carry over because they have a tough matchup against the Niners this week?
They do. I mean, just look at their first 2 months. I mean, it doesn't get any easier. Certainly they're not going to face this Giants team week in and week out. But you got to like what you saw from Sam. He was efficient. He did all of the things that I said that you need to do if you're going to instill confidence in Daniel Jones. And, you think about Sam Darnold in his career, the adversity and struggles that he had in New York, in Carolina. Ultimately, he goes into a situation in San Francisco, gets to spend time around an incredible play caller, a very similar offense to what he's running now with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. And it's like, I said this on K-Fan local radio here in Minnesota on Monday after the game to Paul Allen. This could be a Baker Mayfield situation from Tampa last year where, you ultimately go sign a guy on a 1-year contract who Sam's got nothing to lose. Like, he can go out there and he can play and he can prove, like, to this point in my career, I haven't shown that I can be a guy in this league to be a starting quarterback. And now, I'm playing in an offense in which allows me to be successful. I've got playmakers all over the place. You mentioned the best receiver in football in Justin Jefferson. Aaron Jones, phenomenal talent. I'm glad to see him in purple and not on the other side of the field wearing the green and yellow in Green Bay. Because he's got so much ability. And what that does is it takes pressure off the quarterback. The quarterback can just sit back there. By the way, he's got 2 of the best tackles in football.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
He's not getting sacked 5 times. He can sit back there, go through his reads, get the ball into the hands of the guys that are going to make plays. And the flip side that I like about this Minnesota Vikings defense, this team, is the defense. And you see what Brian Flores is building. He's getting a lot of his guys there that fit his scheme. Harrison Smith, my old buddy from Notre Dame, still doing it in year 13.
Okay, hold on, though. Are you calling the upset against the Niners?
I mean, I called it last year on Monday Night Football when they beat the Niners in Minnesota. But yeah, I'm going to call it. I'm going with the Vikings again. They're going to knock them off.
No Christian McCaffrey. I like this call by you. Well done.
Christian McCaffrey also missed the game in Minnesota last year.
Ipso facto, connect those. I love that you have like 4 kids running around you. I can hear it all happening. I have one more for you because you're the perfect person to ask. You know what a healthy Kirk Cousins looks like, okay? People are starting to wonder, okay? The Falcons lined him up in pistol, or they lined him up in shotgun for 48 of 50. That's egregious. 48 of their 50 plays in week 1. Is this a healthy Kirk Cousins?
I don't know if it's necessarily health or, confidence. This was the first time he's gone back out there. And it's one thing to take your drops in practice. It's one thing to take drops in a preseason game. It's another thing to go out there the first Sunday of the year, live bullets, week 1, a lot of uncertainty. Kirk is a 35-year-old pocket passing quarterback. Ultimately his injury was later in the year than Aaron's, but you look at Aaron and certainly we're never questioning Aaron's health. I think Kirk will get more and more confidence in the Achilles each and every week. Big one this week. I mean, it doesn't get easier for them either. You go against a Philly team that's rolling. You look at what they did against Green Bay and Brazil. I think Kirk will be fine. I don't think this is going to be something we see all year where Kirk only operates out of the shotgun. He's in pistol. But I do think it's something, look, 35, 36 years old, you're coming off an Achilles. It's human nature to wonder. I felt completely fine, and I'm in Green Bay, and I take off running, and I blow my Achilles out. So I think it's more of a confidence thing. It's something that we deal with as athletes. When you're coming back off of a major injury, the hardest part is kind of that first time going out, doing it for real in a live game. Because in the back of your mind, it's there, and it's not going to go away until you ultimately just go out and do what you've done your whole life.